But Shakur Stevenson is the most cerebral fighter in boxing today. He's the best fighter. If he's looked at in the correct way, he will be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world one day. This guy is the best pure boxer in the sport. Nobody can touch him. Nobody can beat him, including elite-level guys. Shakur Stevenson would beat Gervonta Davis, and he'd make it look pretty easy. I'll tell you what, Gervonta's power is always a wild card, but Shakur Stevenson is way too good.
Welcome to Sparring Sessions. I'm George Jakovic, the ref, and the judge. We got the champs here, Paulie Malignaggi, Chris Algieri, but we only got one sparring session champion, the defending sparring session champion is Chris Algieri. Chris, you're on a roll. You're on like a 3-fight winning streak here.
Yeah, you know, there's a little bit of questionable judging here in those things. I don't know about that, man. You know, officially, yes. Unofficially, I don't know. What are the comments saying? What are the fans, what is the audience saying? I'm not really sure here.
I don't think you want to know what the comments, bro, man.
Really? What? They're no good?
Trust me.
No, there's I have more faith in those comments.
I took a peek recently, and trust me, things are going just the way they're supposed to.
Listen, Chris.
I have more faith in those comments than you, champ.
Chris, you were down a point going into the last.
And you gave him a 10-8 round.
I rallied.
And you had a huge 10-8 round.
Disgrace.
So talk about that. Talk about that comeback. How you feeling, champ?
Yeah, you know, I mean, listen, when you've been winning as much as I have been lately, you know, you're still going to come across some opportunities where stuff doesn't go your way, and you just got to find a way to win. I mean, that's what being a champion is all about.
You had an opportunity. This is why I should have got the decision. Because you had an opportunity. You had an opportunity to go with John Wooden right there. Winning, therefore, is a habit. You know what I mean? You had an opportunity to go with John Wooden, but you didn't. I'm going to make winning my habit today.
Paulie, you talk about comments. We're about to start this, but I do have a couple of comments. The fans were split in the last one.
The smart ones won.
Danny Crow said, how many more weeks is Paulie going to get robbed of winning on these sparring sessions? Where's the petition to sign the protest? I love the show.
Danny, the petition's coming right up.
Now here come the paid plants. Look at the way this guy's dressed. You don't think he's paying people to comment? Look, come on. What are we doing?
Hang on. We got another one from
Tony
Smart.
The smear campaign. You see this?
Tony Smart says, I love this sparring session. I thought Paulie won the Canelo versus Benavides, but you gave it to Chris. But I totally agree with the last round score, 10-8 in favor of Chris.
Yeah, because he's probably a Tyson fan against Jake Paul, right?
Iron Mike will brutalize him if it's a real fight.
I know.
And one more, and we're going to get going.
Some people are
but
really
someone said, maybe someone needs to call the sports commission on that judge. He may be crooked. We may have to scrutinize past matches up close to confirm his impartiality, but I agree with his decisions. So, okay, there you go. So,
I don't know. How does that make any sense? You got to be investigated, but you agree with the decisions?
It really doesn't. But listen, we're going to get into this.
Wait, hold on. Let me get out of my Clark Kent. I'm ready. I got ready for sparring sessions. Come on.
All right. Well, as Chris gets ready, we're going to go over the topics briefly. So the topics are, and I'll say them out loud. Round one is, who is more likely to get a title shot next? Will it be David Benavides or will it be Filip Hrgović? That's round one. Round two, this was supposed to be in last week's show, Lennox Lewis versus Tyson Fury fantasy fight. Round three, Marvin Hagler. We just passed the 3-year anniversary of his passing, the late, great, marvelous Marvin Hagler. What is his most impressive win besides Tommy Hearns? And round four, let's talk boxing here and now. Tank versus Shakur. If they matched up, who would win the fight? So those are your topics. Chris Algieri, you are the defending champion. You can either start or defer.
Can we see the list on the screen?
Can we get those graphics on screen? I don't know if we can.
Well, either way, I'll start. I'll start this time.
Okay, so you're going to start, Chris. All right. Round one is who's more likely to get a title shot, Benavides or Hrgović? Remember, Hrgović has been a mandatory since August of 2022. Suleiman says that Canelo will get stripped if he does not fight Benavides. So, who's going to get that first shot, Chris? Benavides or Hrgović? Ring the bell, round one.
All right, this is actually a great question because these are two of the most avoided guys in the sport today. Hrgović, listen, this guy just keeps getting passed over. We saw Zhang, who lost to Ergovich, who has been way busier, gotten way more attention, and was much closer to getting a title shot than Ergovich. Ergovich doesn't even get mentioned anymore. And then you got Benavides, who obviously we're all looking at how Canelo is bobbing and weaving and ducking and slipping and sliding to not fight the kid. But ultimately, I think the guy who's going to get a title shot first is David Benavides. And the reason for that is, listen, he's got 2 weight classes he could potentially get a title shot in. He's got 175. He's moving up to fight Vosdick. There's a very good chance he wins that fight. He's right in the mix for those guys. You've got the big unification fight with Beterbiev and Bivol coming up in June. That would be a perfect guy to fight either one of them after that, or probably the winner. But also at 68, if the WBC is to strip Canelo, which they absolutely won't, there'll be opportunity there. But also they'll just invent another title for him to pick up and fight somebody for that. But Ergovich, there's no reason to fight that guy. He is a dangerous guy. Nobody's mentioning him.
You see you Canelo clowns. This is why you guys are clowns. Because you see my cohort right here, the champ Chris Algieri, says that Benavides is going to fight Canelo eventually. But then you see how he was arguing about the fact that Benavides can get a title shot at light heavyweight. He can get a title shot if Canelo gets stripped. He never mentions about Canelo fighting Benavides because not even we believe it. Even when you think we believe Canelo has the balls to fight Benavides, he doesn't. You're all a bunch of Canelo clowns out there. And you don't like the truth. Ergovich is going to get the first title shot because the sanctioning bodies won't strip Canelo, as we've already seen, but they will strip other guys who unify. The winner of Fury and Usyk may get stripped of one of the belts, where now Ergovich can get the title shot with that vacant title. And we've seen that with Spence and Crawford, where there was a unification, and right away after the unification happened, finally somebody got stripped. Canelo will not be stripped. The sanctioning bodies do not have the balls to strip them, and Ergovich may get a title shot after one of the guys gets stripped after unification.
See, the issue with that is that with the heavyweights and they're fighting, guys, we want a unification. We got a unification. Not stripping anybody anytime soon. Plus, they have a rematch clause. So you're looking at not another year. We're still talking about Fury and Usyk. With David Benavides, he literally could do it at 175. He beats Vosdick. He can get a title shot next. He's that level of guy. He has that kind of name recognition. And then again, like I said, if there's another slice of some title off at 168, just so the sanctioned bodies can pay it a little bit more, that's an opportunity for David Benavides to pick up another world title there.
Even if there's a rematch clause, there's no rematch clause that says it has to be for all 4 titles.
Yeah,
it can be a rematch clause, and they'll
strip.
strip. There was a rematch clause with Spence and Crawford. What did the IBF do? They still stripped Crawford. Didn't matter. There was a rematch clause there too, and they didn't care about that. Tyson and Usyk, Fury and Usyk can still unify, and they can still be stripped in between the rematch. It doesn't matter, and therefore Ergovich can still step in. Canelo was never fighting Benavides. Benavides still has to wait for the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol and then start negotiating at light heavyweight. Ergovich gets the first shot.
They didn't strip Tyson Fury for 2 years, then he fought Ngannou. What are you talking about?
After the bell.
What are you talking about?
After the bell.
Don't worry. I got this. Listen, Chris Algieri, I think it's like 3 wins in a row, and Chris Algieri continues to be on fire. But that's a Paulie round 10-9, no doubt about it. I agree 100%.
You think Ergovich is going to get a title shot?
I do. I think he's going to get a shot before Benavides. And Paulie won that round when he said the people are a bunch of Canelo clowns. That's when he swayed me. I do agree.
I'm telling you right. All right. Listen. I'm not filing commission. I'm putting a tab here. Retroactively, I'm getting this round back. Watch.
Well, retroactively, that's like Tyson and Jake Paul. I mean, that means I can get that round too. That was a 10-8 round. You imagine?
No, that was just because I was such a good point.
But you know what, Chris, though?
Disney versus Brooklyn. Disney versus Brooklyn has to win. Like that just saying that wins.
Listen, that won that big time. But Chris, I think at 175, Beterbiev and Bivol, those are going to be tied up too, those belts.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I don't see him getting a shot there either. But Paulie, that's a 10-9 round.
Retroactive.
Paulie wins that round. Paulie is starting round 2. Round 2 is a fantasy fight. Lennox Lewis against Tyson Fury. Who would win in their primes? Paulie starts it. Ring the bell for round 2.
You know, the interesting thing about Lennox Lewis is he's probably one of the smartest, if not the smartest heavyweight of all time, or definitely among the smartest heavyweights of all time. Fury's very inconsistent. Also, the problem with Lewis was his chin. Fury's not the biggest puncher in the heavyweight division. A lot of times he smacks a lot of those punches. He kind of mauls you. It's a lot harder to maul a guy as big as Lewis. Even though nobody is the size of Fury, it's very difficult to maul a guy like Lennox Lewis. I think Lewis has a very, very big foundation in boxing. Olympic gold medal, heavyweight champion that was probably the best of his era, a tough schedule that he was able to beat everybody he ever faced in the ring. Even the rematches that he won when the guys beat him. It's very hard to pick against Lennox Lewis in this fight because of Fury's inconsistency. If Fury had won the title back when he beat Klitschko and then showed a consistency throughout, it would be hard to pick Fury because you take into account the boxing ability, the size, the physicality, all this other stuff. But you just don't know. Fury's like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get. With Lennox Lewis, the only not knowing what you're going to get was sometimes he fought a boring fight, but he always knew how to win, exciting or not.
Listen, I'm sorry, champ. Lennox Lewis, don't come after me. Tyson Fury beats him. Guys, you broke the rules. This is a fantasy matchup. We're looking at the guy at their best possible. You can't talk about inconsistency with Tyson Fury because of this fight, that fight. Listen, we're talking about the best version. The best version of Tyson Fury beats Lennox Lewis. Too big, throws too many punches, durable enough, and the mind games before the fight. Listen, it's just he's 280 pounds, has fast hands, and doesn't get tired. Also, he can make it boring and win the fight. This would probably be a hug-a-thon. But I think Tyson's physicality and size and ability to fight on the inside and do all that ugly, dirty stuff would be enough to keep Lennox off his game. Lennox wants to play chess. He wants to think. He wants to outthink you. He wants to use that jab. He wants to set up that beautiful right hand. Tyson Fury makes things ugly. He can get in there, rough you up, push you around, get in your headbutt you, whatever. He'll do whatever. He comes from the Travelers. He knows how to fight that dirty boxing style and any way to win. Him at his best finds a way to win, and against Lennox Lewis, he'd find
Lennox
that way.
Lewis, pugilist specialist. The IQ is too high. It doesn't matter. You talk about the jab of Fury. What about the jab of Lennox Lewis? Doesn't matter if Fury's bigger. Lennox Lewis has had one of the best time jabs. And again, the best we've seen of them. I mean, you look at the best version of Lennox Lewis, the Hasim Rahman rematch. You look at certain fights like the Tyson fight when he dominated. I mean, you look at the way he beat Lennox Lewis. I mean, you're looking at so many possible situations where you can bring the best of Lennox Lewis. It's not Tyson Fury's not beating that version. The pugilist specialist.
Dude, the best of Lennox Lewis, you brought up two but guys that we're never going to beat him, ever. Rahman, that should have never happened. Rahman, that was such a surprise because Rahman should have never beaten Lennox Lewis. And then the version of Mike Tyson that fought Lennox Lewis, forget it. Not to mention, Lennox had Tyson's head in his bag since they were kids. That was never going to work out for Mike Tyson. Talk about the best version. It doesn't matter about the jab. It doesn't matter about the pugilist. You made my point for me. Tyson doesn't allow you to play chess. Lennox needs to play chess. They play chess, Lennox wins. They wouldn't do that because of Tyson.
How does it matter about the jab? You mentioned the jab before with Fury.
He's got a good jab. He's got a good jab.
Well, I have to judge these rounds based on the argument, not my personal feelings. So doing that on the argument, Paulie Malignaggi takes a 2-point lead. That's a 10-9 round. Paulie Malignaggi.
That's what I'm talking about.
So
you
don't
trust me?
Destroys Tyson Fury if they fight.
What'd you say? Who do you think wins?
I think if they fought in their primes, that Lennox Lewis would beat Tyson Fury.
Yeah, I do too.
No doubt.
But
I'm not on this Lennox Lewis train.
Who do I trust?
Me.
That's why my argument was so good.
Today. That's it.
This is crazy.
We're going for it.
This is crazy. I made the argument because.
All right, Paulie Malignaggi has a 2-point lead going into round 3. Chris Algieri, you are starting this round. You're down by 2, champ. You got to make a move sometime. You waited late in the last fight to make your move. You're down 2. Round 3, again, we talked about this. Marvin Hagler passed away 3 years ago. One of the greatest fighters in the history of the sport. Definitely one of the greatest middleweights. We're talking about what is Hagler's most impressive win. Not his biggest win, his most impressive win besides Tommy Hearns. He's had a lot of them. Chris, you are starting round 3. Ring the bell.
Marvelous Marvin Hagler. I mean, what more can you say about him? He is the marvelous one, and he has so many big fights, so many great fights. But his best performance, most impressive, and the one that I harp on and still watch to this day, time and time again. And it's not the Hagler Hearns. I know everyone loves that, the best round in history, dude. It's John the Beast Mugabe. That fight was incredible. I mean, John the Beast, it was the Beast at the time, super, super dangerous, crazy knockouts, really good, really powerful guy, good technique, physically strong, huge for the weight class. And Marvin comes out, was boxing beautifully, but then put everything together. There's literally a perfect display of the sweet science. Hit, don't be hit. You got a dangerous guy in front of you. He got hurt at times. It was a rough fight. He talks about how much it took out of him. You can see that in the fight. He just had too much skill, too much in his back pocket for that fight for John. And really, John was never the same after that. That was the end of him as being a tip-top guy. Hagler was just that good that night, and that's my favorite performance of his.
Great.
I think neither guy was actually the same after that.
It's
a good choice. I'm going to say I'm going to give notable mention to this Argentinian guy, but I'm not going to pick him. I forget his name, though. This guy had almost
Domingo
all
Roldan.
Roldan. He had almost all
Roldan.
knockout wins, comes in. And it's a difficult fight for the early part of the fight. Then Hagler, again, he's a savage. He knows how to win. He thumbs him. He thumbs him, and then he beats the crap out of him and stops him.
And then he took his wallet after.
Yeah. So savagery from Marvin Hagler, but I'm not going to say that's his best performance, even though it's a favorite of mine because Roldan is more dangerous than advertised many years later. I'm going to say Mustafa Hamsho. Mustafa Hamsho was so good, he became the #1 contender. Got beat by Hagler, worked his way back to the #1 contender spot, and fights his way back with this guy still the champion and has to get beat again. Mustafa Hamsho probably is a world champion in any other generation, has some key wins, one of the top fighters of his generation, an exciting fighter, a pressure fighter, dealt with a lot. He was a Syrian immigrant. Really, really a great story, but Hagler was able to beat him twice.
Great.
Really good one. And that's why you guys tune into the show, because the boxing knowledge that we have, it goes very, very deep. So very, very good one. But I'm sticking with the John the Beast Mugabe fight. So we talk about switch hitters now recently, right? Because Terrence Crawford, it's like all these new kids think that's the first person to do it. Hagler was the best switch hitter before Terrence Crawford. I mean, he was the first guy to make that really work at the highest level. And we saw that in the John the Beast Mugabe fight. He was boxing at times. He was a puncher at times, switching sides so seamlessly, just showing different levels to the craft at that point where you think he's just one thing and then he's another.
I think, that's a good point. You don't see guys switch before Hagler that much. Now you see guys switch more often. Boxing keeps evolving. I'll say this. Mustafa, I think, has a win over Wilfred Benitez, if I'm not mistaken. He had some key wins. And again, he worked his way back to the #1 contender spot. This guy was a savage himself, man. Nobody could beat him. If not for the existence of Hagler, this guy becomes a middleweight champion. The fact that Hagler had to take him on twice and beat him shows the quality that Hagler was. And also, it's a quality win that's not going to get the credit it deserves because of Hagler himself, Hamsho never became world champion. And otherwise, it would be a key win.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You know what? Before I get the score, his most impressive win to me, besides Hearns, you ever watch him fight Tony Sibson? Tony Sibson was the #1 contender, and he sliced him up, diced him up. I mean, he probably never looked better than he did that night. But Mugabe and Hamsho, it's a tough one because Mugabe was late in Hagler's career. Chris Algieri eked that round out 10-9.
You should have given Mustafa the credit of a 10-10 round at least. Mustafa deserved at least the credibility of a 10-10 round.
He's underrated. He's underrated.
Obviously not underrated enough. He's underrated by you.
Well, Paulie, we got to have some drama going into the 4th round here. Come on now.
No, that's what it is. We're writing Hollywood scripts now. I see the way it is.
I was wondering why I lost the first 2 rounds. The defending champion needs to come back from the grass.
We're writing Hollywood scripts here.
All right, I get it. Okay.
All right, guys, this is what we want. We want drama in these sparring sessions. Chris Algieri, the defending champion, is down by 1. The same place you were in last week, Chris. You're down by 1. Paulie has got a victory in his grasp. Does he reach out or does he falter like he did last week?
I'm turning into a Toragati over here. I'm pulling these
out.
Right. Just getting these wins when I'm behind.
Paulie, you're going to start this round. This is a straightforward one. Tank versus Shakur. Who would win a fight? They're both lightweight champions. Paulie, you're going to start this one. Tank versus Shakur. Who wins? Ring the bell. Round 4.
Excitement, value, and effectiveness don't necessarily go hand in hand. I know Gervonta is a more exciting fighter. I know he's more of a fan favorite, but Shakur Stevenson's effectiveness makes him the best fighter between 135 pounds and 140. Nobody beats him between those 2 weight classes, despite the fact that those 2 weight classes are stacked with talent. I know Gervonta's a fan favorite. I know there's an emotional response when people are fan favorites of a fighter. We see it with Canelo all the time. People love a fighter so much that they start to go into denial about what he can do. And I do believe Gervonta Davis's boxing ability is underrated because he punches so hard and people more so focus on his power. But Shakur Stevenson is the most cerebral fighter in boxing today. He's the best fighter. If he's looked at in the correct way, he will be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world one day. This guy is the best pure boxer in the sport. Nobody can touch him. Nobody can beat him, including elite-level guys. Shakur Stevenson would beat Gervonta Davis, and he'd make it look pretty easy. I'll tell you what, Gervonta's power is always a wild card, but Shakur Stevenson is way too good.
Listen, I would have agreed with you until the De Los Santos fight. And the reason for that, it's nothing to do with technique. It's nothing to do with ring IQ, because obviously Shakur has a great ring IQ. But listen, Gervonta's actually a much better boxer than he gets credit for. He has a very good boxing IQ too. But man, he's got game-changing power. And his ability to believe in his power and find those shots is important. And the De Los Santos fight showed you Shakur has some limitations. And it comes from up here. You said he's a cerebral fighter. Yeah, well, he thinks a lot about being protected, being protected, but getting hurt by guys. De Los Santos, very dangerous puncher, made him handcuff himself, tried to slow the fight down. Listen, Tank likes a slow fight as well. So now I think we're going to have a very, very slow matchup between these two. But the guy who's going to be landing the game-changing power, he's going to hit you on the elbow, he's going to hit you on the hip, he's going to get on the inside, he's going to work his way in. Davis has the ability, based on the De Los Santos hesitancy from Shakur, to take advantage and take rounds and to land the big power that he's got.
To quote Jimmy Conway in Goodfellas, no. You insult him a little bit. I just said Shakur Stevenson, effectiveness and excitement factor do not go hand in hand. Shakur is the most effective fighter in the sport. He dominated De Los Santos. Okay, it wasn't excitement value. It wasn't exciting. He still dominated a very dangerous guy, a guy who's a heavy puncher. It doesn't matter what you think about how exciting he was. We're talking about who wins. Nobody beats Shakur Stevenson. Whether it's exciting, whether it's boring, Shakur will beat you, and that's the bottom line. The result is what we're debating about.
Have you ever seen Shakur get hit?
He doesn't.
Okay. So what happens when he does?
He won't.
What happens when he has a guy who has game-changing power?
What happened?
Okay.
He's automatically means he's going to get knocked out.
This is boxing. Guys with good IQs don't ever get hit.
But that doesn't mean he's knocked out if he gets hit.
You get hit. No, I mean, we don't know.
Floyd got hit.
There's a question there. But there's no question that he was worried about the power of De Los Santos. Why is that?
We can't get dogmatic about it.
Maybe that thing's not so good.
Being dogmatic, he's just automatically assuming Shakur has no chin.
Wow.
He talked through my whole round, by the way.
You asked me a question.
You're not supposed to answer.
You guys,
it's rhetorical.
It is not
it's rhetorical.
Easy. Guys, it is not easy to score these rounds because you both have great points all the time, no matter who wins. Chris, you needed a big round. You needed a big round to retain your title, and you did not get it.
Damn.
Paulie Malignaggi wins that round 10-9. Listen, I'm from Jersey.
That's it.
You know what? Listen, this is
That's it.
I'm
going in.
You're going to break it. You're going to break it.
That's it. That's it.
Okay. All right. All right. You're gonna
That's it.
Look, his bursitis is showing. This old guy.
That's it. Champ, back.
That is an impressive display of strength and mental acuity.
Count them.
I
lost count already. Count them. We go championship. That's it.
All right.
That's
Paulie Malignaggi is the new champion.
As
he bangs out
for all you,
finally, the commission gets it right.
All you knuckleheads in the comments.
The commission gets it right.
All you knuckleheads in the comments. I got Shakur beating Davis too. So.
Finally, the commission in the comments.
Make sure you subscribe to us.
Thanks for anybody who stood by me.
ProBox
TV my fans.
Is your boxing
in the comment section. Thank you. We did it. We're champs again.
Fuck out of here. God.